Hey people, Fern Finley here. I'd like to start a bit of a controversial conversation, a discussion, so please join in the comments below, that'd be great. And the subject is when did the word retard become offensive? And how is it offensive? And the next thing I'd like to discuss is, how is it that it's offensive and insulting to call someone retarded for their behavior, but it's perfectly okay to call someone who's not diagnosed and just a spoiled brat, like a lot of the social justice warriors and others such you see happening over in America, having their hissy fits in public because the person they didn't vote for didn't get in. Why are we calling them autistic and not retards when there's a high chance that they've got a disciplinary issue and not a mental development issue? And if they do have a mental and emotional developmental issue, what is it that they have? Because there's so many mental disorders out there and emotional stunting disorders that are not autism. So I'm just basically wanting to know what your thoughts and opinions are on the subject, because my good old dictionary here, it's almost as old as I am, but the word retard in this, just gonna find it, there it is. First, to delay the progress of, hinder or impede, and the second meaning in this one is to delay or limit. And in brackets it has an example of a person's intellectual or emotional development. Yeah. So I would actually like to see the word retard come back, because it's an umbrella word for so many disorders and other such. Whereas to say someone chucking a hissy fit in public, autistic, that's being extremely specific. And it's the whole being tarnished with the same brush sort of thing, because most people I know who have autism, even severe autism, don't behave like that. And they usually have a carer nearby to guide them and sort them out when they do come out of line. So, yeah, you just don't see that from people who are autistic. You see that from people who just plain are spoilt brats that don't understand that they can't have everything they want. And that in itself is a form of retardation. To be spoilt to the point, or sheltered to the point of not understanding that you can't always have your own way, and that changes aren't always a bad thing. I know one of the issues with autism is not taking well to change, especially sudden changes. But the rollover of presidency is something that is a change that happens often, especially over in America. Every, 3-4 years, they have a new election and a new president. Most people with proper full-blown autism are fully well aware that this is happening, and it doesn't really affect or impede their life. And then all of a sudden, all of this is happening, so yeah. Can we get back to using the word retard in its true concept? Because I would love to see that happening. And the only reason why I'd love to see that happen is because our language is deteriorating to such an extent where we're not using the words that we already have to describe things in a more apt manner. it's things like you wouldn't call a spade a shovel. You use its correct term or you get handed the wrong tool. You know, you have to specify whether or not you want a brie or a camembert. If you just say a soft cheese, well, you're not being very specific and you're not using the words and terminology that you have been given throughout your life, or actually do some reading. I like books. I have newer ones, but this is the smallest one and I'm not plugging that out. And phone's on charge and laptop's here and I'm not getting out Google. Stuff that. But yeah, I would love to hear what your thoughts are and what your opinions are, because even my own friends are starting to use the term autistic to mean something it's not. And I actually did ask some of them to use the word retard when they're talking about these people, because I'm honestly kind of getting sick of being tarnished with the same brush as these people that have not been allowed to develop emotionally. And I think that's part of society's problem. If you don't agree with me, that's fine. I'd love to hear another side of the argument. So society has a lot to do with what's happening with all of this, especially with the whole feminazi movement, the third wave feminists that really are just misogynists with another label that appeals to people more. That sort of stuff is giving everyone a bad name, giving everyone a bad rep. It's not a healthy representation of what's there. And our terminology really needs a good scrubbing down. Because, like I said, we have a very articulate language. Now, we have a word for almost everything, and even if we have the same word for something, its pronunciation or its spelling is completely different. So you can specify which weather you want. You know, the weather is nice. It's nice to say that, but in context, the linguist is really not such a good thing, because if you say the weather is nice, a linguist would say, are you talking about a sheep or outside? You know, the day. So it's really coming back to, we have a really good vocabulary that we're progressively losing, and we're also self-diagnosing other people and having so many others devalued and disregarded for an actual legitimate illness. And yes, autism is a form of retardation, I understand that, because it is a stunt in mental and emotional development. That's primarily what it's based around, and a lot of people forget that it's also a physical issue, and a lot of people are stunted in some of their physical growth with their coordination, muscle mass, and that sort of stuff. That's why a lot of people with autism is very clumsy. But yeah, it's getting to a point where people I know are starting to use the term autism for something that it's not supposed to be used for, because there's another word that covers the entire issue of mental and physical health, which is the word retarded. So you can say someone's retarded without saying that they have a very specific diagnosis. And it would be great if we could go back to that system. So I'd love to hear your for or against this concept. I'd love to hear anyone that has history on it. I'd love to hear all discussion. All discussion is welcome. So, yeah. Let's start using the word retard again. I would absolutely love that. And in its true context, and not as a derogative term that the term autism is becoming. Alright, we've already soiled one word, we don't need to soil an actual legitimate illness, which comes under the word retard because it's a form of. So, yeah. Peace out from the furry and Finley. Bye.